Okay, here's a quick little intro to our project. We're going to be trying to print out one of these models. The one on the right-hand side as we're viewing the screen, this guy right here. I was trying to utilize as much of the color printing functionality that the Bamboo Lab printer offered, but I was having all kinds of issues with it. As you can see, this kind of sucked. This was my first test print of it. I was getting all kinds of spaghetting, some stringing, and some bunching up where it was changing out the colors. So I did a sanity check here with the single color just to make sure nothing weird was going on with the printer besides the multicolor attempts, and it turned out pretty good. I didn't have any of those weird issues in the terrible surface prints. So you can see here how bad that turned out. That was one of the attempts I made after I chopped it up into several different pieces. As you can see here, this was an effort to try to minimize the impact of failures because trying to print in color in the different segments and the different pieces and panels, I really, really wanted to try to make it work, but I was having all kinds of issues, and splitting it up like that minimized the impact of the failure and the time loss. So if one piece failed, I could just try it again. And you can see here with just two colors, the problems I was having, gray and black. So I just kept pushing through and persisting, printing and reprinting and making adjustments as I went, messing with the retraction speed, the print speed, the cooling speed on the material, drying the material, because I know that can cause a lot of stringing, everything. And then you would dry the material it could take a couple hours to let one spool of filament dry out, as it were, and then put the other material in there and let that dry out that you're going to try to print it in conjunction with. And who knows, it's been so super duper humid down here. It's like jungle humidity all the time, that maybe while one was drying, the other one absorbed all the humidity again. I don't know, but this is what I did after persisting. And I've had a couple of projects that I have been just sort of giving up on because they've been just way too much work and not enough juice for the squeeze, as is sometimes said. So I actually finally did get this out of the printer in a manner that would let me put it together after I sliced it up like that. And this is actually the first run of that print. So maybe going forward, I can keep tweaking it and trying different things. But I don't know. I'm kind of exhausted from it at this point. So this is where I'll leave it for now. But I do have it kind of set up in the print program and that project saved. So if we ever want to return to it and try it again, we can try it again. And maybe I'll try it at some point when the weather isn't quite so humid. Like I said, that's just a stab in the dark at this point. I tend to always think it's probably going to be user error or I'm doing something wrong as usual. But oftentimes it's just a matter of just determining what you're doing wrong because if you don't know, you don't know, right? Learning the hard way all the time. We're just going to keep putting this together. And these pieces fit together really nice. I didn't have to alter them too much after I split them up because I wasn't sure a lot of times when they come together at the point where you broke it up, if you don't account for a bit of play in the model, it won't fit together so snugly. You'll get a lot of gapping or weird mating. That sounded funny a little bit, but that wasn't the case here. So we'll just try our best to get this worked out. And it ended up being fairly heavy, even though I did use quite a bit of spacing in the infill. I think maybe 10% only. And it burned up a lot of plastic making this. I'm not even showing all the failures and the trail of tears that I had just to get this far. There are all kinds of ideas though that I could apply to it. Maybe I'll apply more of a octagonal shape to, or I'm sorry, a hexagonal shape to some of this stuff. Because if you noticed in the beginning, I had that black and white image that this was based off of was, of course, yes, another Starflight project, right? This was the Volex Warship, the Volexi Warship, however you might want to say that, I guess. And continuing with my Starflight obsession, I've had a lot of comments saying that this looked like a Klingon ship, and how can you deny design cues that are there from the Klingon ship, but it is purely based off that initial black and white image that I had at the beginning of the intro here before I started doing this fast forward build. So I do know there was a Starship Enterprise that you could encounter during the game, and it wasn't like part of the game. I think it was more like of an Easter egg sort of encounter. It would happen once per game and then be gone, and you could never talk to them, and there was nothing really going on there. And we'll just get these pods together, and that purple, I was having a hard time, like I was saying, getting it to print with the red. I don't know why. I would suppose that all the PLA would chemically be the same. I don't even know if that's the right way to state it, but why would the purple interact? Why would the purple not cooperate so much depending on the environmental conditions, and the red work out so easily, and then the blue work better than the purple? I have no idea, but there could be some differences there. And I did dry out the purple, I did dry out the red, I did dry out the blue, and I think, I'd let them dry for a good 5 or 6 hours. So drying that stuff creates quite a delay when you're trying to crank out a project. And these back areas would be great for lend themselves good for that hexagonal shape. And the Velexi were obsessed with sixes, or I guess they had a base number six because they had 6 legs. They were insects with 6 appendages. So that was their go-to number, multiples of 6. And this one, that top pod right there, I tried to print it blue. I tried to print it with purple, and I was not having any success. And at this point, I was kind of fatigued with the whole process, so I just went and printed a red one. Didn't get the colors on that piece that I wanted. I gave up, basically. One of the things I could try doing was laying them down in different positions to try to get that to print faster, or have the color swapping happen at different locations on the build plate or in the G code coordinate. And sometimes that worked and sometimes it didn't. And I could get one part printed, and then when I would go to print the right side piece of it, it would be successful. Then I would go off and print the left side piece, and it would fail miserably. And these little doohickeys here, these little panels, was a desperate move on my part. I really wanted to get the color panels on that nose section, or that front bulb section of the ship. So I ended up resorting to these extreme measures, because it should, really, I want to think anyway that I should be able to print these in one monolithic piece, but it is what it is. My least favorite expression, but applies aptly here. So I had to tediously try to maneuver these little things in place. I did try to do it with the multicolor on that nose, using the purple and the gray, and as you can imagine, based off the problems I was describing there thus far, it was a sort of a disaster. You can see how the small every space, or every time that head has to go past one of those color spots, it's going to go swap out the red for the purple and the purple for the red, and back and forth. And on a piece like this, it could do it hundreds of times, causing the print to take forever. And then if it's not working good, it just looks like garbage. But I mean, I don't mean to complain, because I absolutely am amazed by the fact that you can get something like this from your imagination out into the real world. So very cool. I'm just whining, crying about the extra work. All these goofy little panels on here, and move on from this step. Then there was another part where it worked out fantastic, and that'll be coming up next. That it's the neck. That's the neck piece, which will attach this head bulb bridge piece, I suppose, to the rest of the body or the main body, and it turned out amazing. It almost looked like something that came out of a vacuum mold or an injection mold. The You can't see any striations in the layers. It's super smooth. Almost no imperfections in that piece whatsoever. I did print that vertically, so it stood up on the plate, which sometimes can be risky, but it printed quick, and I think based off the positioning of that piece on the plate and the way it lended itself to layering those colors, it worked out fantastic. That's what you're always trying to do is to figure out all that stuff, best position and direction, so you can get the best quality print in the quickest amount of time. There would have been a time when I just had the single color printer, I would have probably just printed it out in the base color and then gone with gotten some model paint and done it up that way. But I really am trying to master this color printing thing, and I do see people do it really good, way better than me. That's why I have to assume it's user error. I don't know. One of these days I'll get it. And these thingies are like the missile launchers, I think. I'm not sure what the some of those pieces that and protrusions on that black and white image are supposed to be all open to interpretation, really. And that was the fun part about doing stuff like this. And there you go, I broke that thing. The perfect piece, I broke it. Thanks to some super glue, it's not an issue. We're getting there. I broke it and had to reattach it. Cleaned up that piece so it sat on there flat. And there we are. We are done with our Volexi Warship. Awesome. If you stuck around this long, I greatly appreciate it. Thanks. And we will be doing it again.